context of May's premiership. Part 1 concludes with a flashback chapter recounting May's early errors, drawing on interviews with those unable to talk openly when the first 2 books were written. The rest of Part 1 recounts the story of May's 3 great negotiations, first with her cabinet, then with the EU, and finally with Parliament. Part 2 covers the tortuous negotiations within government over what Britain wanted the Brexit settlement to look like, first defined in a meeting at Chequers in early 2018, expanded further in May's Mansion House speech, and then, when that was rejected by the EU, the Prime Minister's secret pivot to a deal more aligned with Brussels. That was unveiled at a second meeting at Chequers in July, which prompted the resignations of both David Davis and Boris Johnson, the 2 most prominent Brexiteers in her government. Part 3 recounts May's negotiations with Brussels via the disastrous Salzburg summit to the signing of a withdrawal agreement deal in November 2018, which led to the resignation of a second Brexit secretary, Dominic Raab. What then followed was perhaps the most turbulent 12 months in Parliament for a century. Part 4 is the story of May's attempts to negotiate with Parliament to pass her deal, a period which saw 3 meaningful votes, 2 votes of no confidence, 1 in the Prime Minister and 1 in her government, cross-party talks and constitutional innovation by despairing MPs, aided by an activist speaker to seize control from the executive to prevent a no-deal departure. This section ends with the fall of May. Part 5 sees Boris winning the keys to Downing Street after a leadership election in which all the candidates learned from May's experiences and errors and pledged to pursue Brexit negotiations in a different way towards a different end. The chaos and contradictions laid bare here during Johnson's quest for power sowed the seeds of his success, but also fuelled the hubris and nemesis which would follow during his premiership. That and the governments of Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak are the story of Volume 4, published later this year. A project once finite in length took on a life of its own as events overtook me. My punishment was to see other authors till the same soil. My goal has been to dive deeper and wider than others, to provide the level of granularity that readers of the Sunday Times and the 2 previous books have come to expect, without losing sight of the big picture. Like many in Westminster, I am a devotee of the works of Robert Caro, whose magisterial multi-volume biography of Lyndon B. Johnson is the gold standard for all political writers. No Way Out is firmly in the Caro school, in its length and themes, if not in its elegance or insight, in that it aims to be a study of power, how people find it, hold it, and use it, and the ends for which they do so. My contention is that Brexit, which surprised both victors and vanquished in the 2016 referendum, and was a mystery to both, was the greatest political conundrum visited on the British ruling class in 80 years. It destroyed David Cameron, then consumed the careers and attention, directly and indirectly, of his 3 immediate successors. Brexit was, for some, a huge problem to solve, or to mitigate. To others, it was a once-in-a-generation opportunity to grasp. The story of this sequence, and this book in particular, is that of how Britain's leading politicians sought to navigate both hurdles and opportunities, while not agreeing on which were which. In doing so, both sides would push themselves and Britain's unwritten constitution to breaking point. This was a political, parliamentary, legal, and diplomatic drama, but most of all, it was a human drama, read in tooth and claw. As I wrote at the start of All Out War, this is not an explanation.